Hey, Jason.
Hey, Ted.
So it's January 6th, Saturday, 6 o'clock, and you had a lead today.
I did.
And success again.
Success again.
It's an amazing batting average. Been a little over a month and a half. The only one you've lost seems to be one that the folks wanted to do a repair anyway, not a replacement. And maybe they'll find somebody to do the repair, but I don't think they will because it's R22 and it's 20 years old. So they may end up coming back. I did want to ask you if you're going to send them their follow-up email to reconfirm.
Yeah, I thought we should I should do that with your help.
Okay.
See what we can get.
Yeah, I think it'd be good because you want to responsibly avoid responsibility for anything they do. I mean, if they're going to repair a 20-year-old or a 22 system, you certainly don't want to be anywhere near that.
That's right.
And you want to have left the relationship with giving them a nice specification, because that's what we do, right? We provide a specification for people.
Right.
And then also probably your take on the idea of a $3,000 or $4,000 repair on 20-year-old equipment.
Right.
Okay, so tell me about today.
Yeah, so today I had a lead that she it was one that I was coming through the database of somebody that wanted a quote a while back, and I guess we couldn't ever get up with her. Yes, anyway, I sent her the comfort quiz and with the email. If she's like to revisit that, be glad to talk to you about it. So anyway, so I sent the comfort quiz out. I think I did it before Christmas, or not before Christmas, but before the new year. She sent the quiz in, or did the quiz on the 2nd.
Okay.
Didn't see it right away. I don't.
Oh, notifications aren't working right, so you had to go see it in your queue.
Right. And it worked out because she said that Friday or Saturday would be the better day anyway. So that was early in the week. And then I'd rather meet her on a Saturday because she's a school teacher, I found out, and didn't want her to feel rushed or whatever at the end of the day. And Saturday she'd be more relaxed and we would have more time. And so I set it up for today and met her at 10 o'clock. And I did a little bit of research before I got there, had some time this morning. So she had already told me that she had replaced the unit upstairs. And so within the last 2 or 3 years. So I pulled up the permit status, and there was no permit pulled for that.
Okay.
But there actually was a permit pulled in November for the downstairs unit. And I was like, well, that's strange, because she says she replaced the upstairs, but I'm coming to talk to her about the downstairs. So anyway, then I see that the permit was pulled, but then it was canceled. Whoever pulled the permit canceled the permit. And
Did they get their
it was
money back
for
that?
I think you can. It's a process, but I think you can get your money back. So so anyway, it was for $13,300 was the quote, or the permit. Sometimes people lie on the permit fee,
Right.
but if they're gonna lie, they probably would have
I would
been
have called it
lower than that.
8,000, not 13.
Yeah, right. So anyway, so got there and we talked a little bit about what she was wanting to do, and it was for the downstairs system. She did have the upstairs replaced recently. And so then I asked her about downstairs. Did you sign up with somebody recently? Because there was a permit pulled, and I showed her the permit. And I said, why'd you can't? I said, what happened? And she said she canceled. I said, why'd you cancel? And she said, well, I just felt like they were overcharging me, or it was too expensive. I said, too expensive? And she said, yeah. And then she elaborated more on why she thought it was too expensive. The upstairs, she only spent like $8,000 for it or something like that. And it's the same size equipment. And she didn't understand why it's so much more. And so she just decided to cancel. And I said, so you're not saying it, are you saying it's too expensive, or are you saying that they just didn't offer you enough value for what they were offering? She said, well, I guess that they just really didn't offer enough value for what they were giving me. And so anyway, and then we went into their comfort quiz. So she had the comfort quiz filled out, and she had a really high score. It's like 22, but she selected the free quote. And so, and if you
Did you
look at her
ask her?
notes,
Did you ask her why she didn't go for a comfort consult?
and she said, well, I think with the equipment change, it should solve a lot of my problems.
Okay.
Is what she said. And I said, what do you mean? And she was concerned about their freon. She was using that word, freon, leaking into her unit downstairs and into her ductwork and causing her indoor air quality problems. And but
like there's
and
an
so it
Freon someplace.
She just says that her house just doesn't feel right sometimes. So it concerns her.
Okay.
And so then her other things were, her son has allergies. I said, well, how about uneven temperatures? And she's like, well, no, not really. Don't really have any uneven temperatures. And then, how about humidity problems? She's not aware of any humidity problems. Anyway, and then a little bit later, we were talking about electrification, and because I found out that she has a gas furnace downstairs, because that's what everybody was quoting her. And I was like thinking to myself, okay, well, if it's leaking refrigerant, it's already been leaked out. And, I said, what makes you think it was leaking at one point? And she said, well, they told me that this summer that it was leaking out. And so it's starting to bother me, worry me. But I was sitting there thinking it's probably either already leaked out or whatever. But she thinks she smells gas sometimes, so the gas was scaring her a little bit. And then she doesn't even use, she's got a gas stove. She doesn't even use that. She's got a little hot plate on the side that she uses. And so anyway, she had their biggest thing was the indoor air quality. And then she was also concerned about the pricing. Those were her two pain points at the time. But then she said that some of the other people had looked at the upstairs unit, or the company that she's been using to service her equipment. She's got indoor air quality issues upstairs because she's got some mildew in one of the rooms upstairs.
Is that where the indoor air quality concerns all started, do you think? And then they just sort of spread to her thinking it's throughout the house?
I think so, because she also wanted to move the units from the side of her house to the back of the house, because somebody told her that when those things go in reverse, that the air from the neighbor's driveway when they start their cars comes through her ductwork.
So she's really confused about refrigerant and how that works.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So we had good discussion. I followed the program exactly on the questionnaire. You know, I asked her a bunch of questions. I even pulled it back up and said, let me just make sure I've answered all the asked all the questions that I have. And I said, well, here's one. Just to be clear, I think I already know the answer, but let me just ask it one more time. Is there, if you had a magic wand and there's one thing you could change about this new, your house with this new system, what would it be? She said indoor air quality. I said, what? That's what I was expecting you to say. And what would you like for that to look like or feel like? And she says she wants to feel like she can breathe better. She wants to feel like that she can concentrate. And she's a school teacher. She grades papers at home. She wants to be able to concentrate on those things.
Whatever's happened with this upstairs system has really, really affected her.
Right. And
It's,
so she had mildew like in the back, but say it again.
did you notice it?
No,
Okay.
she said, no, I couldn't smell it.
You may end up starting to get sensitive when you're in these houses and start picking up on things over time.
Right.
And you'll be able to say,
Yes.
oh yeah, I can kind of get it.
So we were upstairs and she says, well, I asked her, I said, so what this company has been servicing your equipment, what was their answer when you told them about the mildew? And she said, the mildew smell. She said, well, they sold me a bulb. They came and put me a UV bulb in. Said that would solve my problems. I said, did it solve your problem? She said it lasted about a week and then it came back. And so anyway, she had committed to do the static pressure on both systems, even though we're only quoting one today. And so I did test for static pressure upstairs, and the static in the heating mode was like 0.85. And then so I knew it was going to be higher based on the furnace that was up there. I knew it was going to be higher in the AC mode. So I switched it to AC. In the AC mode, it was 1.22. And so then I took picture. I opened, it was a ductboard plenum. So I cut that open. I had tape. I cut that open, stuck my hand in there, took a bunch of pictures. And then
So this is a good trick.
up.
This right here for people listening. Here's a good trick when you have high static pressure, oversized equipment. Take a picture inside the ductboard. I mean, right?
Yeah, it's going to be black, and it was.
Water's going to be blowing off that coil if the fan's running that fast.
Right. And so I let her come to that conclusion. So I drew it out on a piece of paper and showed her that, you know, in the summertime, the water's sitting on the coil, you know, and I used the example of glass and water and ice and condensate. She finished my sentence. She said condensation. That's right. So the coil gets cold, so there's condensation from the air, and it drips into that pan, and that's why you have this drain line here. And I showed her pictures of that. And I said another thing about static pressure is when it's that high, especially because she didn't have she only had one drain line and the other one was plugged. She didn't have a secondary at all. And so I said, I know one thing about that is that the water will not drain out of that pan until the unit shuts off because you have a high status. And so then all that water will drain off. So you got all this water sitting in the pan, it's blowing.
Building up.
It's blowing at 1.22 static. And I made her read the label on her furnace, and she read it. She said maximum external static pressure 0.5. And saying, what is yours? 1.22. So your math teacher, I'm not as good in math as you are, but it seems like more than twice to me. She said, yeah. And she actually came up with the number. It's a 2. Whatever times, whatever she said. But
0.4.
Anyway, so then I said, do you think that much pressure would blow all that water up into that ductboard? She said, absolutely. So I see exactly where I was coming from. So then I said, and so that growth is on the coil there. It's never going to go away until we correct the static pressure. And then she said, well, and I also want that fresh air thing that you were talking about. And so she started telling me what she wanted for the upstairs unit too. But we'd already determined that no permit had been pulled for upstairs.
So the people that did the upstairs aren't the same people that sold the downstairs?
No. So
she bought from these people that did the upstairs and had no interest in buying from them again.
she had no interest in buying from them again, but she did get a quote from them again.
Okay.
After she had done business with the other company, and the old company is still like several $1,000s less than this other company. So I mean, she had a quote for less than 10.
So she paid like pay the other company more to not do business with the light bulb company.
Well, she was
that had
still trying to justify the price in her mind. You know, she's still trying to justify the price.
But she couldn't get
because it was, yeah, because it was like their quote was $8,000 or $9,000, and this company, other company, was 13,300.
Right.
And but then the other company had pointed out a couple of things that were wrong, but not much. They pointed out the gas line didn't have a drip leg, and the drain line didn't look real great either, and none of it was strapped.
Okay.
And the flue pipe wasn't strapped either. But there's also some other things that I noticed and I pointed out to her. And, you know, obviously nobody checked the static pressure, and that was the huge one. But, and then nobody opened up the duct board to show her that. She's like, well, how did they get that light bulb in there? I said, they just poke a hole in it and push it through. And so that made sense to her because, like I said, it was duct board. And then what else was wrong? It didn't have any blocks in the pan. It was just sitting flat on the pan. It had an old float switch, like a toilet bowl for the float switch in the pan. So nobody updated that. And then another big one that I showed her was the breakers. So it shows the maximum amperage was 25 amps, and it had a 30 amp breaker on the outdoor unit. And I showed her those two things. And I said, so she said, what does that mean? I said, I don't know. Do you think that if this thing overheated, do you think it would start a fire before it tripped the breaker? Or she said, yeah, I do. Yes. Anyway, so
the math teacher, she knows numbers.
Right. So then I took the pictures and stuff upstairs, and then I went down to the downstairs, which is what we were really there for. And it was in the crawl space. Took the pictures and the measurements. More duct board. You know, duct board in a crawl space, it's going to be black. And duct board is like illegal in like 14 states, just not North Carolina.
Okay.
So, and I say that to them, let them know that.
And it was black.
And it was black. I say, wonder why it's illegal in 14 states.
Yeah.
And she gives me a good reason. And
you're probably right.
Yeah, right. And so then indoor air quality is on top of your list. Do you want to replace those plenums? Yes. Get them out of there. And there was also like where the coil connected to the unit, air was blowing out. You could see it blowing. You could see,
nobody air sealed it.
Right. And so, and it came on while I was down there, and it's, you know, because I was checking the static and stuff, and then you could see the cobwebs and everything blowing around. And so I videoed that for her and showed her that, and she's like, I wonder why nobody's ever showed me that. It's like, I don't know. Why do you think that nobody's ever shown me that? It's a good question. And she says, all those people are just salespeople trying to sell me. They don't
want to help me. Just just like Beta.
salespeople.
They keep
Yeah,
all these women that you're selling to or say the exact same thing.
right.
These salesmen come out here just trying to rip me off, and they don't care about helping me.
The static downstairs was high too. It was like 0.585 or something, and she also had the wrong size return. She only had one return flex and like a way too big a unit for that flex return. And so I wrote that down and I showed her the chart on the duct sizing and how much air it should be able to move. And since she's a math teacher, she gets that. And then I showed her the static pressure and she gets the math on that. And then we showed her the likely load range. And I showed her my load calculation. And so what size do you want to go with the same size? Or you also said that somebody else quoted something even bigger because they told you need bigger. What do you think?
You want bigger?
And so she understood that she needed something smaller. And then
Has she watched the 6 functions?
we watched both the videos.
Oh, you watched them
with her. Yeah. So I watched her with her.
them before.
She had not watched them before.
Okay. So she got there and she was open, but she wasn't pre-educated.
She was not pre-educated.
Okay.
So it took a little longer because of that, but I think it also helps have that 6 functions fresh on their mind.
Plus you watch it with them and it's sort of a relationship builder because you're going through the experience together.
I think it's funny when people grunt and groan when they're watching it too. It's interesting. Their body language.
Oh no, groan.
Yeah.
Like
groan.
What,
like
what kind of groaning occurs?
Right. Yes. Especially when you talk about blood pressure and the duct pressure.
Oh, the static pressure one makes them groan. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. After you showed her the static before showing her the video.
No, we showed the video to get her to approve the static test.
She was groaning at the video before you even show. I bet she groaned again when she saw her static pressure.
Right. Well, she suspected. So anyway, got the measurements. It made sense. She wanted to just clarify about the size because she wanted to make sure she wasn't going too small. So then I tried to explain to her more about the mixing and remember how the video talks about that. And then the load matching and how it ramps up and down, things like that. And so, all that made sense to her. I said, kept asking questions like, why you wonder why those other companies were telling you needed something bigger. She's like, well, I think they were just trying to sell me something. I just didn't have a good feeling. That's why I kept looking, but I'm really glad that I did keep looking. She kept saying that several times to me, that she's glad that she kept looking.
Oh my gosh, that must feel great.
Yeah, it did. And so then she picked. Yeah, so I did, the one thing I did different this time was I let her pick her equipment, or let her pick her installation first.
Okay.
That way
you can make them all the same.
Right. Well, what I've noticed is if you show them the equipment first and the pricing ranges, they think that that's the highest, that's all it's going to be. So if I show them the installation first and say, look, this is just the installation, the accessories, what's important to you. And she I've got the piece of paper printed there. She points to it. I want the filtration and I want the fresh air for sure.
Okay.
And so we go straight to that column. And then she sees more green faces on the other one. And I said, she asked, what was that? And I explained that the humidifier. And she said, well, I don't need that. And I said, well, it's always something you can add later if you do feel like you need it. And then indoor air quality monitor. And she said, that might be something I'm interested in. And then, so then we moved to the equipment, and single stage is out at that point, which is what everybody quoted. And everybody also quoted furnace. And we're just talking about heat pumps. And so then it was really came down to whether she wanted the crossover or the 5-stage. And so the crossover doesn't do as good a job of dehumidifying the space, doesn't have the reheat dehumidification. So I explained that to her, and she said, okay, so what if we put this in, and you're saying you can't control the humidity 100%. What would be our options if the humidity was higher? And then I said we could put in a dehumidifier. We could either put a dehumidifier in the ductwork, or you can get a standalone. She said, okay, well, sounds like that would be the route I want to go, because I'm not really concerned about humidity, because I'm from Canada, things like that. But then I was trying to reiterate about the dehumidification for health reasons, because indoor air quality is important to you and things like that. And so she got it.
You maintain your house during the cooling season below 50% relative.
Right. So, she understood her decision and what she was missing out on with that. And there would never be an issue where a scenario where she was blaming me. She's going to have to blame herself because of this process. And so anyway, so then I said, so when are you hoping to get this installed? Do you want me to price this out now? And she's like, yeah, I want you to price it out now. So if I price it out now, I mean, if we install it one day next week, would that work for you if we agreed on a price? She said, yeah, that would be great. So I priced it out. There was never any price objection about it that much at that time. And in fact, she said, wow, that was less than I thought. And she
Even though you were more than any of the other people quoted.
Yeah, so it was like $3,000 more than the other guy that she canceled order with. So
Right.
Why did you decide to do business with me? And she's like, well, you take the time to explain it to me and understand what my options are. And this is exactly what I wanted. Nobody else ever even mentioned anything about fresh air.
I picked the system I wanted. Yeah.
Right. So, the fresh air plus the fact that,
those extra things, I wanted them.
This extra thing. I mean, it's just like, you obviously have more technical knowledge than these other guys that were just salespeople that are trying to sell me something. And they all put a lot of pressure on me to do business while that day while they were there, all these things. And that still fascinates me when they say that and still do business with me for the same day for more money.
I think, so would it be wrong to say that HVAC 2.0 is the only way to professionally sell HVAC?
I think yes. I think it would be the correct way to say it, not the wrong way.
Okay. So, I mean, everything else that you ever run across is unprofessional HVAC sales. So if anybody is doing anything but this, they're an unprofessional salesperson. Oh, that's going to upset a lot of people. I like it.
I don't see any other way around it, because this way that you're offering them the very best that's on the market.
It's available.
And
letting them pick.
That they can say no to it. They can pick their own. And
they understand what they're choosing, and they're not being sold based on SEER.
Right. SEER never brought up in this conversation today. Never for a minute. was that brought up?
Well, the part that's going to get very interesting is if you fix both of those units, that woman is suddenly comfortable in her house again. Because once you're sensitized to bad air quality bothers you a lot, continuously. So you live in the house and you're sensitized to that bad air quality, your life becomes kind of a daily misery. So if you're able to fix that, it's really nice because, you know, these people, their lives get markedly better, and that's because of you. You did that for her.
So she's looking forward to it. I did not quote anything for the upstairs yet. I'm gonna put together the information, send over the report for that to her, and then to my bosses to let them decide how to proceed with that, since no permit was pulled. But the way I see it and the way I explained it to her is, at the very least, if she doesn't want to buy new equipment, she would have to start over, pull permit, pull it apart, reinstall it, get it re-inspected
properly so that everything meets code, and then also commission it properly, because maybe there's a way to get it so that it doesn't have static of 1.2.
Right. And clearly they didn't set the blower speeds on that because it was a 3-ton drive.
Well, with a
like
2-ton air conditioner, 2.5
2-ton air conditioner.
Okay.
Yeah, so it I'm not even sure if that particular Goodman, I mean, I think it was 2 years old, maybe, or 3. So I'm not sure if that particular Goodman, I'll have to look it up to see if you can program the blower speed with a app. Maybe somebody watching the video would know this, but
Maybe
that'll be something
a
I'll look
smaller
at.
outdoor unit attached to it. I mean, at some point you're throwing good money after bad. When is that point?
Right. So at the very least they used the wrong speed taps for the blower.
You could take that unit and sell it to those young broke kids.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't know if you can do that in North Carolina or not, sell used equipment. I hear you can't.
Probably
I
not.
don't know.
Probably not.
But anyway, so yeah, that was great. And then, you know, in the post close, asking her again, you know, why did you decide to do business with me today? And she just thanked me for explaining it and giving her education on what her options were and letting her choose and on her terms and not putting pressure on me. And everything she would like to hear. It is more expensive than the other company. She said, yeah, but it's a lot better value. So,
Use your words.
use my own words. She used my words, and then she was even talking about. She was talking about. She was explaining that didn't get a permit, that wasn't installed properly. All the
Static
that's why
pressure
we got.
wrong. She knew all the numbers. You remember the numbers because she's a math teacher.
And that's why she's got these issues upstairs with the mildew and all that stuff. So anyway, so she appreciated it.
Oh
And
my
I enjoyed
How good
it.
does that feel to have relationships with people like this where you're providing so much value to them?
I mean, yeah, it feels great.
This is a free quote.
Yeah, it felt great. Yeah, so that puts let's see here. So that puts the volume per issue this year 10,533.
Volume per issue. Volume per issue. I gotta try and remember that. I just like to revenue per lead.
Revenue per lead. That's what everybody
Volume
says.
per
Me,
issue.
it's like, yeah,
10,000. How much?
10,533.
And that's including the repair that you went on. The other Jason thinks that shouldn't be part of your leads because that's a repair.
Right, the repair quote. Yeah. I mean, it was you know, it was my job to convert it to a replacement, and I couldn't.
Okay.
So
I guess we could split hairs on that all night long.
yeah.
My approach to that is if they go and buy new equipment, and it's not from you, you lost that job.
Right. And so and then, you know, some people might, sometimes you get a credit decline, but I still count that as a no sell too, because if they need it bad enough, want it bad enough, they'll
They're
figure
gonna
out
figure it
how
out.
to pay for it.
Yeah. They'll go borrow from a friend or a relative or something. Well, it keeps getting better, doesn't it?
We're having fun.
What are some of the things that you attribute it to?
I mean, having a reason that makes sense to them for why the better equipment's a better option other than the SEER and efficiency. You know, because why would you spend $5,000 more to save $25 a month? I mean, logically, especially to a math teacher, it wouldn't make sense.
Right.
And so you got to find the other reasons and find the other pains that they have and help the solution.
Let them come to their own
Engage.
conclusions. That feels a lot better than trying to stuff some down their throat.
Right. So, I mean, definitely the process, having the clarity of what's expected,
How much
having
do you attribute Sandler to it?
I think Sandler is very important because the people realize that I don't have all the answers. Like I'm not over promising
Okay.
anything,
Okay.
and if this may not solve all your problems, and if it doesn't solve problems, there's a next step that we can do, and so that definitely is working to my advantage and feels a lot better. And then same thing for them coming up with their own reasons to buy. So they've got I mean, obviously she has her spark within her why she wanted to buy a new unit and what she wanted. She couldn't, she told me she hadn't found it yet, and that's why she kept looking. And she told me repeatedly that she was glad she did keep looking, and she was glad that she found me. And she actually canceled another appointment that she had for one day next week. So it's done.
Well, the air quality stuff, it'll be fun to follow this after the install to find out how much impact that has on her lived experience in that house.
Right.
And if it dramatically changes, you know, because eventually it becomes a health issue. That it starts out as indoor air quality starts out as a comfort issue, like it's an annoyance, and then it builds to like more and more of an annoyance, and then at some point your body can't absorb it anymore, and it becomes a health problem.
Right.
Like
And
the woman the other day who has to stay out of her house while the equipment's being replaced, and even a little bit of mold throws her into conniptions.
right.
You know, her exposure went too far, and now she can't. Your body doesn't go back. That sensitivity is always there, and that's why. And women are going to be more sensitive because they have better something nasal, whatever. But if you can sort of try and improve your sensitivity when you go into these houses and pay closer attention, that can be helpful. I mean, you got to be careful because you don't want to tell people their houses stink.
Right.
But I think you have a soft way of saying, yeah, I do sense a little bit of a possibly a mildewy smell
Right.
if they offer first.
Right. Yeah, and the Sandler, I mean, too, I mean, it's just taught me to show them their options and show them the duck board. Yes, it puts me at a competitive disadvantage to be the most expensive guy, but I'm just giving you options. Would you want me to lie to you?
Right.
Or would you shoot it to you straight?
Plus,
And
I'm
so,
really the most expensive because you don't have a specification, so we don't have apples to apples quotes. Part of the reason I'm helping you with the specification is so that you can take this that we developed today. If you want to do business with somebody else, you can take it to them because we offer
yeah.
you. It's part of our one free quote process.
Mhm.
Is helping you have a apples to apples specification. Well, so it's been less than 2 months.
Yep.
And after the first month, you got the free quote part really pretty much down. So then you can start leaning into the Sandler, right? Probably less than the first month. You can have the free quote after 2 or 3. How would you looking back, how would you say your progression went?
Yeah, so it was getting comfortable with a different process. It took me about 2 calls to get comfortable. I was actually surprised that I was a little nervous the first 2 calls, and then that went away. And then I was able to focus more on the questions. So I was actually started writing down some of the questions and memorizing those, so it flowed a little better, more like a conversation, and then can revert back to it to make sure I answered everything that was in the questionnaire. And then
Screenshots too, in case you're having connectivity issue with the software or whatever.
download the videos to your iPad so it can play real easy that way.
Wait.
So I did that, and then understanding how to use the templates. They really only need 2 templates, maybe 3. You really only need the 2 because you should be showing the heat pumps. Really, that's what I've been doing.
Always have
And
heat pump as the best option. The full either evolution or 5-stage.
so the heat pumps, and then the installation options are really all the same now for me. I mean, and somebody may want a furnace only or something like that. So you might have a few of those with a full system option for heat pump is what we've done. But anyway, once I got more comfortable with with that and understanding that it's not a pricing software, it's a price conditioning tool to help them pick their package for us to bid to. And so then once that decision's made, you just don't talk about that anymore. You present the price on that one option, and then it's just how you gonna pay for it. So that's worked really good. Then it's also making it more clear on what's expected. There's no, as Sandler says, there's no mutual mystification. It's
Yeah,
clear on
that's a
what's
follow-up email too, is to remove any opportunity for mutual mystification, because that mystification is what comes back. Human beings are forgetful, so it's not always intentional. But people are going to ask you a question that's going to put you back on your heels if you haven't positioned yourself with a response
right.
that says, oh, remember when we first got together, we talked about this comfort consult. Would you like to do the comfort consult now? Is that what you're telling me? So
Right. Makes sense. Yes, sir. It's fine. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Yeah, thank you.